From playing the most bone-chilling serial killers like Dahmer to a new intern on The Office, Evan Peters is an all-rounder type of guy. So it's no surprise that he almost got cast in White Lotus's Season 2. And God, would I have loved to see him play Ethan Spiller. I mean, that's exactly who they were gonna cast him as. And everybody saw the potential that this man has. While talking about it, the executive producer David Burnett opened up about how Peters was the initial choice for the role, and things had almost reached the stage of finalization. So yeah, they were pretty hooked on the guy, and they waited until the very end to cast that part. It's clear that they wanted just the right person to play Spiller, and according to what they said, they had been talking with Peters for quite some time, but then things didn't work out. I'm pretty sure they tried their absolute hardest to make the timings work, but the schedules just weren't aligning. And seeing how busy Evan usually is, it's understandable that he didn't find the time to play this role. But I've got to say, he would have fit so incredibly well into Spiller's role, it's insane to imagine. In the end, they had to turn their eyes to a different person. The reason they were so fixed on the Dahmer actor is that they didn't want someone low-key to play the role. The show's pretty famous for its overall cast, so it makes sense that they'd want to get the star on board. But they also said they didn't want to be too predictable about it. Luckily, they did eventually find the right actor, and they found him in the most random way possible. Burnett talked about it with a hint of amusement, as he recalled how he was pretty jet-lagged the night he discovered him, and it was 4 a.m. He saw him in Giri Haji, which is one of the most brilliant shows in the UK in his eyes, and the actor I'm talking about is obviously Will Sharp. You've already seen just how brilliantly he performed in Season 2, so there's no reason to doubt the producer's choice. I mean, he's super talented, which is probably what Burnett liked the most in him. But I guess what stood out was the fact that he had never seen Sharp before, which made him a sort of hidden gem. I mean, the man literally called him a chameleon after researching all of his past work. And to him, it probably felt like he just found an actor right before he was about to blow up in the mainstream media. Maybe he's right, because Sharp's character Ethan is Harper's husband. And seeing the two on vacation with Cameron and Daphne was truly an experience. Sure, he shares more than just a few similarities with Evan Peters, and we'll probably never get to find out just how well he would have played it. But some things make it pretty easy to guess. I mean, isn't Peters just brilliant with the most unhinged characters? He has this thing where he's always attracted to the most chaotic roles that he can find. And if you think about it, there may not be even a single normal role that he stood out in. There's always something a bit strange about almost all of his roles, and Ethan Spiller was no different. For starters, this character couldn't stop imagining his wife getting together with his college roommate.
Hey! Hey, buddy, what's up? You trying to fuck my wife? What? Are you trying to fuck my wife? Huh? Are you?
And let's just say, the thoughts were quite sick. Not to mention, he couldn't even earn his wife's trust while telling her that he didn't cheat on her. And with the spark in their relationship entirely gone, you could see him spiraling. So, talking about a man who sucks at being confronted and freaks out on the smallest of inconveniences, it's pretty obvious why Evan was an absolute priority for them. It also explains another major part of the fans' reactions to this character, because a lot of the people weren't really into Ethan Spiller. For starters, a lot of people just found his character flat, or maybe a bit too boring to keep the audience captivated. Not to mention, the inconsistencies in his character were quite off-putting. I mean, how do you even go from never lying to your wife to suddenly lying to her about almost everything in such a short time?
I didn't do anything. I'm not lying to you.
Okay.
You know I don't lie to you. What are you worried about?
There was so much wrong with how this character ended up being portrayed, but that's not all. On a Reddit poll where everybody voted on the worst cast choice for a role, the most number of votes were for Will Sharp. I'm not even kidding. That's basically what everybody thinks. And maybe it's more about how infuriating the character is rather than the actual actor. but he may just be one of the most disliked characters on the show. So maybe, just maybe, Evan Peters would have breathed actual life into this highly disturbed and confused character. All of this disappointment aside though, I'm pretty sure everybody eventually forgot their grievances, especially because of how brilliant the finale was. I wouldn't believe you if you said the final episode wasn't hysterical, because Tanya McCoy's ending was one of the craziest things I've seen on screen in a very long time. Fans took it upon themselves to talk about the undisputed highlights of the entire ordeal. Like how even in her final moments, the fans could still imagine her gossiping about what happened at the yacht. And then of course the iconic line where she thought that the gays are trying to murder her was thought of as the best dialogue ever written.
Please, these gays, they're trying to murder me.
So if you couldn't guess, this episode served as a proper revolution. And things blew up so fast, the show ended up trending on Twitter where everybody wanted to discuss the absurdity of what just happened. It was hilarious how she kept trying to get off the yacht to save herself from murder. But then, the captain simply couldn't understand her because he was Italian. And all these little events mixed up to give you one of the most chaotic things you've ever seen. And after such a brilliant experience, I'm pretty sure everybody just forgets about the little things they don't like. Especially when there's more exciting news coming up ahead. They've already renewed the show for a 3rd season. And you know what that means? Death is about to get even more real. There's very little that is officially known about this project so far, apart from the fact that Jennifer Coolidge could still make a comeback. Yeah, I know her character is dead, but what can I say? With the way things hit the fan in Season 2, there's no way you could predict what's gonna happen. But according to what I can guess, you're probably going to be taken to an entirely new location this time. It's not like traveling is hard for these awfully rich folks. And while talking about it, White explained how it'd be super fun to just move to an entirely new continent. So before you know it, the insanity might just move to Europe or even Asia. From how he's been talking, it seems like the man has found his interest in Eastern religion and spirituality. This means that they'll be finding a brand new hobby to get behind. Of course, there will be new guests coming in, and the way Season 2 ended, the transition to a brand new cast will be seamless. There's a big chance that with this new cast, they might try revisiting some of their older preferences. But whether Evan Peters ends up being part of the rich White Lotus universe or not, you'll still get to see some of the freshest new talented faces in Season 3. So yeah, this was all you need to know about how Evan was nearly cast in Season 2 of The White Lotus.